Uno. All right, let's do this. Shit. Okay.
Hello.
So we did the show.
Hooray!
Yes. And it was great.
It went really well.
Yes.
It was really, really good.
It was really, really stormy that other day, and
The rest of the time it's been fabulous weather, which is why I'm quite warm right now. But that was stormy.
yeah, and you know, you were saying if we'd had that weather back in Melbourne, absolutely no one would have turned up.
My friends wouldn't have turned
My
up.
best friends, like you wouldn't have gone out in this weather. Yeah. But we managed to get just under 10 people in the audience, which was actually pretty awesome because the capacity was probably about 30 anyway. So it was a small room. And we had people mostly who we knew through bits and bobs, but we had 2 complete strangers in the audience. And I was like really excited by that because they were big GNS nuts.
Indeed, they sang along while we were singing.
Yeah, and it was great.
Which was very helpful.
Yeah, but it basically in the end, the venue were really supportive.
They were really nice.
Bump in was so easy. We got in there. You know, the guy who was actually showing us around the space didn't really know the desk, but he just called someone straight up, and they talked us through it, and it was just all set up and kind of ready to go, and so simple.
Very, very easy. I mean, part of that is the show, which is very easy to do things with. It was really interesting to talk to the guy who ran the venue about kind of how he runs his venue and how he does things. He was saying that nothing he hates more than a theatre that's not being used. So that's why he was happy for us to come in, you know, for one night at 10 o'clock at night to do a show. And I thought that was really good. I told him that I didn't know of any venues in Melbourne who would have that attitude to people coming from out of town who you'd really never heard of before.
Yeah, and that kind of last minute response thing was really awesome as well.
Yeah.
Like the, sure, it's only like a month away, but I've got this one little slot late night, there's no one else using it, come in and do the show.
Yeah.
I don't think there's many theatres in Melbourne that would be able to do that, like would have the infrastructure or the...
Yeah, but these guys seem to be set up to do a lot of small shows. So they're almost set up like a Fringe Festival venue all of the time.
Yeah.
Which is really, really cool. And they've got kind of lockage for storage space, and they've got kind of, it's all just set up to go with small stuff.
Yeah.
It was really a big fan.
Hopefully we'll be able to come back maybe next year or the year after and do an actual proper run in New York.
Yeah, maybe with a few days before the show, because I think coming in and doing it like 2 days after we arrived, that was difficult.
It was difficult.
Mainly just because we were doing that type of jet lag where you wake up at 4:35 in the morning, so being awake for a show at 10 o'clock at night was a serious challenge.
It was really hard. But yeah, it was a really positive experience, and I really hope we can come back and we get to say Tick have performed in New York.
Indeed, as seen in New York.
As seen in New York. Would you recommend somebody else try this same endeavour, May?
Certainly. In fact, I would recommend trying with this set of venues because they're very nice.
Who are?
Horse Trade.
Yes.
Is the name of the set of venues, and the one we were in was called Under St Mark's, but they have a bunch of them.
Yeah, they have a couple. Under St Mark's is the smaller space, and
it's very nice.
Oh, one thing I would say is I don't know anything about marketing in New York, and I think we probably could have gotten more people if the weather hadn't been as bad, but I wasn't sure what Horse Trade did in terms of marketing for us, because we kind of went in as a co-pro situation, so we were going to do a split of the box office if we'd had any, box office to split.
But we didn't pay for the venue.
But we didn't pay for the venue, but I wasn't sure if they and what they sent out, and I didn't know who to send things out to. We didn't have anything to send out because we don't know contacts in New York.
Yeah.
So if we were going to come back and do this again, I think that would be my main point of research, trying to find out who to talk to and, basically just like the basic stuff that you know in Melbourne, or at least you know someone who can give you a media list.
Yeah. And also just a feel for, because we could go through and email every newspaper in New York, but a feel for who you read for that kind of information, who's likely to put it in, that sort of stuff. So I think that would be a good thing to work on if we were coming back.
Another interesting thing to research would be the kind of news cycle, or the publicity kind of cycle in New York, and at what point you need to have things prepared by.
Yeah.
But that would be my advice after living it.
Indeed.
And then next up we're going to Montreal Fringe Festival. Not to perform, we're just going to go and check out the festival, and we'll hopefully let you know what our impressions are.
You young lady.
You, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm really excited.
Yeah. Cool. Well, sayonara.
Yes, goodbye.